Here we are at the Lipinski construction site for our $150 raft. There's our $150 canoe. Oh, somebody did not turn the canoe over. Bad news. A $150 boat. And now we're going to build our $150 raft.
Oh.
All right. So before you build the American-made raft, you got to have the American made in America hat, United States hat. You gotta wake up first. Now we can start. All right. So in order to build this raft, this is the essential component. Everything else is easy to get. But these barrels, I had to drive all the way to Green Bay. Some guy actually had these barrels. These are the barrels I had when I built my raft before, about 25 years ago. And I got them for $4 each, but very hard to find. But you got to have these barrels. I think they use them to store oil, vegetable oil or something, and you got to make sure that this is nice and tight. I'm going to put some Teflon tape on these. And all you need is 7 2x8 by 8s, and then over here 2 sheets of plywood. All of this treated. So the 2 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood treated, I think cost me $70. Those 2x8s probably cost me $60-70, and the barrel is $16. So that's, you know, about $150 for the whole thing. So there we go. We're gonna get started here. Okay, so here's our wood. Basically, you need 7 2x8 by 8s, and it's a very simple thing. You know, you got 4 feet or 8 feet of plywood, and you're gonna put 2 feet between each board. That makes 8 feet. Now, since you have the thickness, since we're going to put this outer board on the edges, you need to chop off like 3 inches off of each of these boards, so it ends up becoming 48 by 40, 96 by 96, so 8 feet by 8 feet. And they will meet in the center there, and you'll splice them on, and put your barrels in, and then we'll get some 2x6s to separate the barrels. And we're off and running. So I'm going to get started here. I'm going to start just screwing them down. I got lag bolts, which are really going to hold the thing together. And I'm just going to screw it down initially with a couple decking screws and kind of put it all together. Then we're going to lag bolt it, and then we're also going to put some corner brackets on all of just the extra support. So we're going to get started here. Like I said, we wanted to take off 3 inches. So I marked on my boards 3 inches, and basically going to cut that. Alright, so 3 inches off each board. The raft was 22¼ by 36¼ but these barrels are a little bit different. So this lip is a little bit bigger, and it's exactly 23. So I'm going to make it like 23 1/8 wide, because this side is, well, see, it tapers down, so you can't even say it's 22 down here, but really it's, so 23 1/8 would be good. And then lengthwise, so here's, this is like 34 1/2, and it probably bulges out, so I'm going to make it 35. So we're going to make this 23 1/8 by 35 spaces for each of these, and we'll see how that. We'll do one, see how it fits. So, you know, most carpenters already know this. When you're using a plank like this, you want to make sure that the rounded side is on top, and you want to keep all those boards, the high part up. So we're going to check all the boards. And some of them are pretty straight, but you can that barely, this is just a little bolt high on this. So we're gonna do that with all these boards. We're gonna check, and I'm gonna start screwing them down. Make sure that your tops are level, and you also wanna make sure that it's square. And I don't have my big T square, it'd probably be a lot better, but we'll do that later. Okay, so we got it squared off. I'm gonna just put some some decking screws in just to hold it in place. Okay, and then over here you can see you want to get this level. So you want to get this level as well. So squared off, everything's squared off. Put another decking screw in. So I put some decking screws on the end, and I'm going to put some lag bolts in the center, 2 lag bolts for each of these boards, and also an angle bracket on the inside. Oh, you can see here that I made a mistake because I wasn't thinking. I measured the diameter of the barrel, but the barrel doesn't sit, since I only have 2x8s, it doesn't sit all the way up here. So it sits down further down here, so I need to move this beam over so we get a nice tight fit. You know, we don't want to have this slop back and forth like this, even though it's going to be chained down, and we want to have a nice fit that it just fits in there nicely. So we're going to redo this board, and then we're going to go proceed with the other, doing all the other planks. You can see we have a nice fit now here, and nice fit, nice solid fit. And I'm just gonna, this is gonna be the top of the raft. So I want to make sure the bottom is going to be the same. So I'm going to put a T-square in there, and before I nail the bottoms of all of these, I'm going to make sure it's nice and square, so what we have down here is what we have up here, and then we'll be good to go. So we got one side done here, and I think it's best to have your barrels right with you when you're setting these boards in place. We're going to get the other 2 barrels over there and do this side, and then put a center board in, and then I think we'll be good to go to put the plywood on the top, and then we'll set the we'll seal these. These have to be sealed really good so no water gets in. We'll put the plywood on top, and then we'll put them on these guys. Put some stringers across, some chain, kind of keep them in place. Though you don't have to, because they don't really go anywhere with the weight of the raft. But it's nice when you're moving the raft on the shore. They don't slop all over the place or fall out. Alright, so I'm double checking myself. This has got to be 96 by 96. Well, it turns out that these boards are 96.5 inches, and I didn't measure. So guess what I have to do? I have to cut those ends off another 1/2 inch, and I got to cut a 1/2 inch off both of these. So just a word of warning, if you're doing this, measure your boards. I just assumed it was exactly 8 foot. All right, here we go.
Out here building a yacht.
Yeah.
And look at this.
We're gonna sail across the ocean in this.
Uh-huh.
I think you could probably do it.
Yeah, you could probably.
But
you just
any rate, so we got these. I'm doing the center beam. We got these other ones that should fit right in there. There we go. And
I found a baby turtle.
I like to keep these guys on the outside here, so that fits in there pretty nice. It looks like it
And I found
almost
a baby
hits
turtle.
almost hits the bottom there. Yeah, it hits bottom. Cool. So what I'm doing now is I'm setting the center board, because we got 2 sheets of plywood, and it's gonna be nailed to the center board. You know, so it's one sheet and the other sheet. This is actually the top, not the bottom. I know that looks like the bottom, but we're gonna turn this around. Well, actually, we're gonna probably put the plywood on it next, and then we're gonna turn it around and put these guys, put some chain on it. And right now I'm just I got my center 48 inches, and right here, and so we want to be able to screw the plywood down on both sides of this, and we should be good. You want to always square up your beams, make sure Everything is nice and square, even though we're working on unflat ground. So, 2 more decking screws on this side and we'll be ready to put on the plywood. So we got to bring this guy over. Like I said, you want to have it centered on this, the beam centered. I normally put in 1, put the top guy in first. Make sure it's nice and level. Let's see, you need some screws. Okay, and like I said, I'm putting these decking screws on the very top and bottom because we're going to use lag screws. When we got this thing all assembled and everything works, then we're going to put lag screws in. So now I'm going to check this, and you can see that it's not square, so we got to bring that guy in. So we got a nice straight board, and it looks like it needs to go in more, but you know, it's very possible. The thing is so whacked out that this may be as close as we're going to get it, or I'll have Elijah use his Superman strength to pull on it. I think that's going to be close enough. Put the screw in. Voila! We have the frame built. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take these barrels out. We're going to install the plywood on the top of this. And then we're going to turn it over. Oh, we're going to put the barrel, let's see, we're going to turn it over, put the barrels, and put some strapping on it. And turn it over one more time. And put our lag bolts in. And you will have a raft. Oh, we also have to make sure we put some plumber's tape on the thread here before we tighten this down. Make sure everything. I think one side's only been opened. So here we go. Plywood next. Okay, so there's Elijah. He's standing on the boat, but I haven't nailed anything down. This is where you have to get your sledgehammer and start banging on things. As you can see that this needs to be moved in a little bit. So we moved it right next to the lake here, so it's going to be an easy. And what we'll do is we're going to lift up this end and we're going to put the barrels underneath once we get this screwed down. And then we're going to see if we can do the chain also without having to turn it over, because this thing weighs a ton. Literally weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Okay, so that's where we're at. I'm going to go get some screws to screw this down and a sledgehammer to kind of make it do what I want it to do. So I'm headed back to get some screws and a sledgehammer. And I wanted to show you our stream here. I'm going to post a picture of the storm that happened yesterday. But when we get rain, this is what we get. This water, by the way, is amazing. I use it to wash my hair, and it almost reminds me of the water in Vilcabamba from the mountain. It's all rainwater, and it's the best for washing your hair. So there's our stream. We're gonna head back up to the house and get the rest of the parts. All right, we're gonna try to do some torquing here. You see how it moves itself in, and then over here, let's see. And we need to push these guys over a little bit. So now we're going to screw this thing down. I think we got it as close as we're going to get it. Put this in. And girl, get off my raft! Hey, come on, you're upsetting the balance here. Alright. So we're going to screw down some corners here.
Corey jumping.
Make sure that your seams are nice and tight here in the center. But we're going to screw down one side and then we're going to tighten up the other side as best we can. So let's get this thing, that's pretty close to the edge here. I think we got, with the sledgehammer, we got it as square as we're going to get it. All right, time to screw this baby down. And I use 3-inch screws on the on holding the beams together, and I think this is 2.5 inch, and I use 3, so you could probably even use 2 inch, but no, 2.5 looks good. So let's grab a whole bunch of these guys and go to it. I'm gonna screw the corners down, and then we'll figure out, maybe draw some lines where the beams are. There it goes.
Run, jump, 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 go, 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 go.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this middle one, but remember there's just one beam, so you kind of have to shoot at an angle there to catch it good. But now we got to draw a line where this beam is. We nailed right here. So I'm just gonna pencil it, really put a little mark here, and then use my X-ray stringer line. Here's the other one right here. So from there to there you go, and that's gonna be close enough. You see, chances are we're gonna hit the beam. All right, done. Done.
Time to
and
turn
work
it
on
over.
The bottom. I forgot to get some 2x6s to separate the barrels. So we're gonna have to do that, mount the barrels, and then turn it over. So I'm just gonna clean this a little bit here. It has like oil, you could tell this was storing oil. So, okay, and then what we want to do, clean this guy too here. You know, oil is, I don't think oil is a sealant. I think we'll do the opposite. So I'm going to put the plumber's tape around it. Okay. And when you're doing plumber's tape, we're going to tighten it clockwise. So we want to also put the tape on clockwise, in case you haven't done this before, because otherwise it'll unravel. Okay, so here we go. We're going to just wrap a bunch of it around here. In all the 20 years, my barrels never leaked. I don't even know if I used plumber's tape then. I think I just tightened it down. But hey, you know, an overkill is always better. Okay, I don't know. Okay, and just screw that back on. Let's see.
You gotta try this.
Make sure it's screwing on correctly. And then you want to use a screwdriver and a hammer to really lock it in tight.
Let's see if we can farther.
Okay, so we're going to tighten this as tight as we can get it. Probably take a hammer and give it an extra whack. Matter of fact, I think you can just do it by hand. I don't think you have to crank it with a hammer. It's plastic and you don't want to strip anything. Now we'll double check, make sure this is tight. Yeah, oh, that's tight. That's never been taken off. Okay, so we're ready to go for the barrels. You need to do that, all 3 barrels. All right, go. All right, so here we are. We got, this thing ain't gonna turn over. It's too freaking heavy. So we're gonna do all the work from underneath. We put 2 of these on, and I'm gonna put the other 2 on now. Got them all sealed. and then we're going to get this 2x6 cut into 4 pieces underneath, so it kind of keeps every barrel in place, and I'll show you that later. But so we're gonna proceed. Okay, I'm underneath here, and you could see I've installed these 2x8s, one on each side, and that keeps the barrels pretty tight in place, like when you're sliding it around, trying to pull it on shore or whatever you're doing. And so we're doing this in its place because this thing weighs a ton, but as you can see, it's very cool. With these barrels, you can swim underneath the raft here, and you know, it's very cool because the barrels are probably going to be in the water about this much or so, you know, and then you can swim under here, and it's very cool. So we're getting there. So I got 50 feet of chain, and I didn't have anything to cut it with, and I decided, well, maybe I can just wrap it around the whole boat, and kids can hang on to it, you know, pull themselves up, whatever. So that's what I'm doing, and you can see I'm wrapping it underneath, and then we're gonna just continue all the way around the boat. Okay, as you can see, I got all the chain on, and it's around the barrels, holding it in. There's a little chain going underneath there, and around here, and also same on the other side here. You can see the chain, and got a little bit of chain left, so we'll just either cut it off or use it as a pull it in the shore or something or another, or anchor, maybe an anchor. We'll use it as an anchor. There we go. All right, so all we got left here is the bolts. I was gonna put these corner brackets. It's just an overkill. Really don't. With these bolts in there, and the way with the screws, don't need it. So I just had used these last time, and I thought I'd buy them. But anyway, so I got, and this is really important because I think this is a good size, 3/8 by 3.5 inch. They're nice big lag screws, you know, and it's gonna hold. And I'm gonna mount them right in between the 2 screws that the decking screws. So I'm gonna just put them right here, 2 of them, and that's what we're gonna do right now. And I will show you when I'm done. And I decided I would actually get Elijah, showing Elijah actually did some work on this.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
Well, you were taking all the film, so
Oh, well,
no one knows how much you did.
that was a ghost. That was a ghost taking the film.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So there's a beautiful lake, our little lake. This thing's gonna get launched here in about 20 minutes, and you can see those nice lag bolts with the washers on them. Yep, that's they're gonna be. You got 10 beams. You got, or five beams going across, and so 10 bolts and washers. You need 20 altogether to do this. Tighten it up, and you're doing a good job there, Elijah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Well, he's Irish, so
Yeah,
you know.
That's it.
All right. Looks like you're about ready. Almost done there, huh, Elijah? There he is. He's finishing the last one. And there's the cute little girl. Are you the maiden launcher, or are you gonna crack the champagne bottle? We should have bought a bottle of beer. Cracked it over here. Let's see. He's got all these. Whoa. You got 4 more to do on this side. No, 6 more. Okay, so we still got a little bit more work to do.
1.
Well,
2.
let's go. Come on.
1.
I don't know if this is the way to do it, but we'll try.
2. 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Come on. This side, Elijah. This side. 1, 2, 3.
There it is. Yeah. All right, there's the raft. It's floating. And we're gonna go underneath here and show you what this looks like underneath. This is the favorite part of the whole raft. As you can see, you know, there it is, all built. It took a day. So if you have a body of water and $150, and you can find the barrels, that's a trick, is finding the barrels. And this is pretty cool. You can kind of hang out, and I have my little chains there for grabbing onto, but I got to put some rubber around them because I just hit my head and that hurt on that metal chain. So let's go around. We can kind of see the raft. There we go. Look at it. None of my, I see no air bubbles, so my 55-gallon drums are not leaking. So we have a successful raft building. And there's the kids. There they are. There they're coming. Da 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 da. And there's Elijah. Hi, Elijah. Hi. And here comes Sarah. Hi, Sarah. And here comes Zia. Zia. And there is the raft, guys. What did it take us, Elijah? About 4 hours? 3 hours? I don't know. We made a lot of mistakes along the way, but here it is. Me and the son accomplished it. There's the raft. And there we are. We're still alive. Almost had a fatality on my foot there a few minutes ago, but we survived. The raft survived. The raft's floating. There's no bubbles, no leaks, and we are done for the day. Good luck on yours. Ciao.